the the most memorable moment for me, two that are involved around St. Jude. The first one was when it was my first ever charity stream, and we were raising money for St. Jude. I have two daughters, so St. Jude is very near and dear to my heart. And I never expected to raise a couple $100, and we ended up raising $5,000 in like 6 hours.
Wow.
And it was the moment where I was like, we can. It was for me the moment where I guess realized that I could make an impact beyond just making somebody smile. I think when you evolve into being able to have an impact like we do every single year.
I have Fab. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm pumped.
Excellent, man. I hope you had a good day today.
Busy, but we're good.
Yeah, awesome. I saw you were playing with Hodsy a little bit earlier.
I was. She's always a blast. Yeah, it's always really fun playing with Hodsy because in comparison to how like crazy and animated and hectic the other group is that I like to play with, Hodsy's very chill, and the vibes are just like way more mellow, and so having that shift is always good for the mental. You know what I mean? I love the guys, and but playing with Hodsy on a more even keel where it's a little more chill,
Yeah,
is nice as well.
But you know why she's that way? Because she's Canadian.
True, yeah.
Yes. Hey, absolutely. And dude, I got to say, your thumbnails have been just awesome every day.
Thank you so much.
They're so good.
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for it. It's definitely not me. It's all my editor. His name's Grant McGriddles. He's been killing it. So big shout out to him. They've been really funny. He does this thing where he always puts like an Easter egg in the thumbnail. And so what I've started doing is I don't even look at the thumbnail anymore. Like I don't review it. It's more funny to me when people come in and they'll be like, "Ha, that's the like," and they'll talk about it, and it'll kind of like create engagement in the stream.
Yeah.
And I don't have no idea what they're talking about. So that's been something fun that he's been doing, kind of sprinkling in little Easter eggs in there for people to find.
Awesome. All right. So what we do here to get things going, we start off with 3 random questions. So are you ready?
Got it.
All right. So when Fab was a young lad, what did he want to be when he grew up?
I wanted to be a marine biologist really bad.
In Texas.
I was actually a really good marine biology program at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, actually.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
like that was my plan for a while until I was like 15. That was my plan. I even got into like the magnet schools, like this for the science classes and stuff like that. But it comes from when I was growing up, I loved Free Willy. Like that was my jam. I watched all of them over and over. I had the necklace even. I loved it. So the orca whales have always been a huge passion of mine, and I wanted to work like either preferably in the wild, but even if like it was like at a SeaWorld before all that crazy stuff came out about SeaWorld, I wanted to like work with orca whales.
Yeah.
That was like always been, and still to this day, like orcas are my favorite animal.
Now, have you ever seen them in the wild?
I've seen them in the wild a few times. Yeah, when I was in the Coast Guard, we took a North Patrol up to like the Arctic Circle, and they were all over the Bering Sea in Alaska,
Oh my God.
up in the Bering Strait, up in the Arctic. Like seeing them out in the open ocean was definitely very, very special. We saw orcas, we saw polar bears, and we saw beluga whales.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah,
That's so cool.
It's pretty cool stuff.
All right. So second question: favorite city you've ever been to?
I think Boston. I think I'd have to say Boston, because I love history, and there's no shortage of that in Boston, obviously. So, Boston was very cool, just like the old style. Now the drivers are absolutely off their rocker. Being in an Uber in Boston was one of the scariest experiences of my life for sure. But the amount of history there, we like did the Sam Adams tour. We did like there's a Freedom Trail that we did there. Boston's probably one of my favorite cities for sure.
Very cool. From a history standpoint, we made it down to Savannah about 10 years ago, and
Okay.
there's some really cool, information about that. Like one of the things I never knew was the all the iron you see around like New Orleans and Savannah, that came over because the Europeans, when they were coming over to, take whatever they could get from the, America, they would bring over the iron to weigh the boats down. And when they got here, they just dumped it out. And that's why you see so much
That's
like
why.
iron around the cities.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
cool.
Yeah.
That's
All
great.
right.
My brother lived out in Savannah. It's pretty nice out there. We enjoyed it.
Yeah,
We
it's nice.
visited him a few times. It's nice out there.
Yeah, it is. All right. Final question. You're going out to your favorite restaurant. What are you eating?
Tacos.
All
That's
right.
that's the easiest question you'll ask me this whole session. I guarantee it.
All right, there we go. All right, so welcome to the podcast. So, first thing, before Fab hit that go live button, what's your background? What were you doing before you discovered streaming?
I was a general manager at Best Buy, actually. So that's kind of what I was doing after I got out of the Coast Guard. I was I didn't make it into the police academy. That was like my exit strategy from the Coast Guard. I was gonna get into the police academy there. Actually turned out better that way. But ended up working at Best Buy for 5 years. Worked my way up from part time up to manager, and then decided in 2015 that like I really wanted to take content creation seriously, and being a salary manager at Best Buy, working 50 hours a week, and then I had about 10 hours of commute each week as well, and trying to balance that with streaming was very difficult.
Yeah.
But we made it work, and
Oh, wow.
it's been a blessing, yeah, for sure.
Excellent. So, how long were you in the Coast Guard for?
6 years.
What
Yeah.
made you
little over 6 years.
What made you pick the Coast Guard?
That's funny. Like everyone always asks me that because like you're from El Paso. Why Coast Guard, right? Like, but I'm actually not sure why my cousins joined, but the reason why I joined was because I had two cousins that had already joined the Coast Guard. They were loving it. They were stationed in really amazing places, and I was like, why not? You know what I mean? So that was kind of what happened. And actually, it's the story about how I ended up joining the military just in general was. When I graduated high school when I was 16, and I started college at 16 with zero discipline. I wasn't going to class. I was failing. It was awful. Couldn't do it. So I dropped out. And then my mom was like, well, you're not just going to be a bum here. You're either going to go to school or you got to move out. And I was like, well, I'll just join the Coast Guard then. And my cousins did it. I can do it too. That was the whole,
Wow.
that was kind of the story there, but for that. So
Oh, and what was the Coast Guard experience like?
it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was definitely set me up for success in all the stuff that I've done since then. As far as like time management, organization, just like learning how to talk to people from all over the country, and interact with different people from different cultures and things like that. Like being able to handle like high stress environments and stuff.
Yeah.
Like this job is not easy. This what we do, and it's very stressful and tough mentally, especially. And the Coast Guard, as much fun as PoolShark and my friends make, mentally demanding a lot of times, because it's so small. When I joined it might not be this way anymore, but when I joined the Coast Guard, it was smaller than the NYPD.
Holy crap.
So everyone kind of has to do everything, and the units are very small, but with a lot of the area of operations is so huge, and like the area of responsibility that you have is massive. So being able to kind of handle all that stress mentally has definitely prepared me for what I'm doing now for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's something about, I know in Israel and over in Germany, you have 2 years of, I think it's either mandatory military service and or community, like a civilian service. And I think, when you're 18 or 17, you really, that might be a kick in the pants to help you mature and just live on your own.
I think I agree. And that's tough. Like having it mandatory is obviously tough, but I think for the right person, the service absolutely does really great things to kind of shape you into a much better person. Now there's a lot of aspects of the military where they kind of just treat they treat their service members poorly, and a lot of people have a really bad experience. But I think especially joining the military that early can shape you into a much better person than you maybe would have been if you hadn't, right? And maybe gone down a different path that's much worse.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so video games. Let's start there. Where
Yeah.
did this start for you? What were your early video game memories?
So I don't remember this specifically, but my parents tell me that they potty trained me while playing Super Mario Brothers on the I don't know if it was the NES or the Super Nintendo, but they said that I would just sit there and like just urinate on myself or poop on
Yeah,
myself. And so they said they whatever, he doesn't want to go use the bathroom, so we'll just put the potty there, the squatty potty thing
yeah,
there, and that's kind of where that's the story.
yeah.
If that's whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's the story they tell.
Oh,
And then they also tell a story of when and I was probably around 2 or 3 years old at this time, I
yeah.
guess. And so they said that I never figured out how to go backwards with the controller. My dad says I would flip the controller around and go backwards that way
No way.
instead of just pressing the back button.
Yeah,
I would flip the whole controller around because that's how I figured out that I could move my Mario backwards the other
right.
way. So
Oh, that's too funny.
yeah,
Oh man.
that's I guess if we're gonna believe their tales,
Yeah.
that's where it all started, I guess.
Oh man. So now, for the memories you can remember, were you a console? Did you start off in consoles and then move to PC?
Yeah, it was we had the Super Nintendo, and my grandma had the NES. We never had the NES at our house, but I played like the original Mario on there. We did the duck hunt on there. We had the little rifle, where you could do the duck hunt. And then at home we had the SNES, and then my dad bought a PlayStation 1 where we did like Tomb Raider. And there was this one time traveler game that was crazy where you were dressed as this. I don't even remember what the game was called, but you were dressed as this like time traveler in this yellow jumpsuit, and the first mission was you time traveled back, and it was like caveman times. It was like saber-toothed tigers that you had to fight, but you had to fight them with like a stick. You had to craft a stick and like fight them with the stick. And then we just kind of had consoles. We've always had consoles, but I remember when they bought me my first gaming PC. It wasn't technically a gaming PC back then, but I guess when they had put the graphics card in, that's what made it a gaming PC. And I think I was 9, and I specifically wanted it because me and my cousins would play Counter-Strike and but mainly like StarCraft and Diablo.
Yeah.
Were the first games that we played a lot. I played StarCraft a lot when
Yeah.
I was around 9, so that was my first venture into like the PC world, I guess.
Yeah. Oh shoot. And now over the, decade and a half or so, what's been some of your favorite games that really stick out that you like, you just really enjoyed?
What I've dumped the most time into, I'm an FPS guy for sure through and through. So like Counter Strike, on the PlayStation 2, they had a game called SOCOM and SOCOM 2.
Yeah.
Loved those games; they were incredible. I probably got the most time though in World of Warcraft. I've been playing World of Warcraft since I was 15,
Shoot.
and I even just played this last expansion that came out. I've been playing that game forever. So I guess those shooters and but like even like even all the BattleNet games, like I played every Diablo, I played every StarCraft. I didn't really get into Warcraft stuff until World of Warcraft came out. But all the BattleNet, all the Blizzard stuff was heavily played by me when I was growing up.
Cool. So you must be excited for the next Diablo iteration.
I'm incredibly pumped. Yeah, it comes out. There's a beta for it next weekend, and I'm not going to be home. I'm going to Doc's event
Oh.
up in Arlington on next Friday.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to be home for the beta that
Oh,
I.
shoot.
So I'm pretty sad about that, but maybe I can convince one of the optic people to let me hop on and just play for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh man. And also we got some sort of a teaser for CS:GO is coming, right? Or another.
Yeah, CS:GO 2.0. I think it's going to be the same game. I haven't done a lot of research on it,
Yeah.
but I think they're just basically porting the game onto a new engine, which
Yeah.
obviously is going to make it insane. There's already been some like I guess it's fan art, but it's video of what the game could potentially look like.
Yeah.
And it looks so good. the problem with the Counter Strike and like games like Valorant and
Yeah.
even the game that just came out, the finals,
Yes.
or it's in
Yep.
beta. Arena shooters just really aren't kind of drawing in the crowds that they used to. They're not as fun as they used to be. I
Yeah.
think that format of gaming has kind of lost its luster.
Mm-hmm.
Like Halo didn't do very good when it came
Nope.
out. Valorant's kind of fallen off. It's very niche.
Yeah.
So I think that style of game, as much as I want it to be amazing, and I'm for sure gonna play it because it's Counter Strike. I've been playing
Right.
it since I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably not going to be anything that's like crazy or takes off or does anything spectacular. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say.
All right. So now streaming. What made you hit that go live button?
I actually, the first time I ever went live, it was like in 2010, I think, maybe 2011. It was somewhere around that time. It was already Twitch, but I had a bunch of friends. I was playing World of Warcraft and we were doing arenas, and I was like always pushing for like Gladiator and stuff, and like the top 1%. And I had a group of friends that couldn't ever get like past like it was like 2000 2200 like arena point rating. So they were like, why don't you just stream it on this website so we can watch you? And I was like, that's weird, but okay, I guess. And so that was like my first ever live stream, was streaming World of Warcraft arenas on Twitch.
Oh wow.
And I would do it like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like talking to chat or anything. It was just my box, my game, and then my camera box and my really crappy microphone. And I had like 5 or 6 people most of the time, but every once in a while there would be like hundreds and hundreds of people in there, and I was like, no one was chatting really. Like the chat would move sometimes, but I would
Right.
never really read it. I think back then, that was what, 13 years ago now. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what having a couple hundred people I didn't know
Right.
what that meant. Like, thinking back, I'm like, what the hell? Like, why didn't you? If you would have stuck with it, I would be Asmongold. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If I was,
yeah.
So that's like the first time I ever hit the go live, like just to do it. I think the first time I wanted to actually take it seriously was in 2015. I found Tim the Tatman stream when he had like a couple hundred viewers playing. He was alternating at the time between Call of Duty and between Counter Strike, and I like to watch him play Counter Strike, and I thought he was really funny, and I just like it was always very. He wasn't like, he was good at the game, but not like insane like the pros. But the majority of it was just the banter and how funny he was. And my wife, I don't even think we were married at the time. I think she was my fiance at the time. Was like, you could do that. She's like, you're funny. You could do that. And I was like, dude, I could do that. Like, that would be so fun. I could do that.
Yeah.
I already had all the stuff. Like, I already had the webcam and I had
Yeah.
the good microphone and all that. And I said, I could do that. So yeah, Tim the Tatman was like kind of my inspiration to just, like, actually make a plan, take it seriously, get
Yeah.
graphics made, and like actually start giving this thing a go. Like,
Yeah.
it was definitely him. Yeah.
And now back in 2015, what was Twitch like? I'm sure it's a lot different today with the tools and metrics you have today.
Yeah, it's definitely a night and day difference. The dashboard was just one page.
Yeah.
The affiliate program didn't exist yet. The directories were not saturated or crazy like they were
Yeah.
now. There was still a lot of growth potential, kind of like how you're seeing like on YouTube and a couple years ago, like how Facebook gaming was when it was in its infancy. There was so much room to grow. People were filtering in and out of streams all the time. Like, it wasn't that abnormal for someone who typically has 2 or 3 viewers, or to just randomly every once in a while have 10, 15, 20, 30, and it would just climb, and it would climb quickly as long as you stayed consistent. There was a lot of room to grow depending on what directory you were in. So it's obviously way more difficult now.
Yes.
The landscape's so much different. And
Now, was it
kinda where
like
it is now.
was it like the Wild West? Chat was chat crazy back then because you just really did you have the mods like you?
I think in certain streamers chats it was that way, but most of the time I think obviously it still holds true to this day. Like, whatever people gravitate towards you and chat in your stream.
Yeah.
are definitely a reflection of who's behind the camera. I never really, I still don't really ever have toxic people unless they come over from PoolShark's chat. Like those, those are his cult will let me have it, and
Oh,
but that's really the only. I don't really see a whole lot of
that's
toxicity. We
good.
rarely have to ban people. I've never really had an issue with that. And I mean the same holds true for me back then when I was on Twitch. There was some streamers who had obviously really bad ones. I think
Yeah.
off the top of my head, there was a streamer named Mo. He was a Counter-Strike streamer, who he was very toxic and his community was very toxic as
Yeah.
well. But I don't think it was anything super crazy
Yeah.
that I can remember. But I've also never really spent a whole lot of time in streams besides like a handful of my favorite creators.
Right.
I was never a large consumer of the content.
Yeah. Okay. And now you jumped after you were on Twitch for a while. You did a stint at Facebook Gaming, right?
Yeah, so I did Twitch from 2015 to the end of 2017 or so, and in 20 wait yeah so okay so 2015 was when kind of everything kind of slowed down a little bit because I just got promoted at work
Yeah.
to manager, and my youngest daughter was born
Yeah.
like on in the same month, and I had to take a huge step back from stream. And then I did it every once in a while, just kind of for fun and stuff. And then I started listening to Professor Broman's podcast. And I would always listen to him. He gave really good advice. He did his Ask Broman podcast, and he would give really good advice, tips and tricks, and just how to improve as a content creator and as a streamer.
Yeah.
And one of the sessions he had Tim on. He had Darkness 429 on his podcast, and they were talking about Facebook gaming, and my brain started firing on every cylinder, more cylinders than it's ever fired on. Definitely to the like more than it ever fires today.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I was like, that's it. That's the move. I swapped 30 days later. I kind of prepared the small community that I had on Twitch. I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving. Swapped. No one followed me. That was very disheartening and it was very scary. But I swapped, and then 6 months later, I was partnered.
Wow.
And it was insane. Facebook gaming in its first year was some of the most viral, insane, amazing, crazy, great streams I've ever had.
Wow.
It was insane.
Now,
Year one of Facebook gaming was insane.
What was it about Facebook that just drew so many people, or different type of? Was it a different viewers altogether that weren't Twitch viewers?
Yeah, it was an entirely new viewer base that had been untapped to that point. What makes Facebook gaming unique is the news feed of Facebook. So, your auntie could be scrolling, and then all of a sudden Fab TV pops up on her screen. And like if enough people clicked on it to expand it or liked it or whatever, it picked it up in the algorithm so heavy. Typically around the 1 or 2 hour mark every stream. And back then you can only stream 4 hours at a time on Facebook.
Yeah.
And always around the 2 hour mark, you would go from 100 viewers to thousands and thousands of viewers, and it would just stay there. And it was insane. That was the Wild West.
Yeah.
That was insane. That was almost all of year one of Facebook. It was crazy.
Oh, wow. And then what happened? Did they just not, fund it from a, streaming standpoint? Somebody lost interest. It was not a pet project anymore for them.
Honestly, who knows? Like it became very apparent that and what's always been a thing is Facebook and Facebook gaming have always been two separate entities. Facebook gaming is not an actual part of Facebook. It's separate. It's completely separate. So we all noticed when the parent company Facebook stopped caring about gaming.
Yeah,
that's when everything fell apart. There were too many inconsistencies, non-communication between engineers. Somebody would work on something on the Facebook platform, it would break something for a gaming stream, vice versa. And you could feel it that when parent company Facebook gave up on Facebook gaming, you felt it.
Oh, wow. So then,
Yeah.
when that happened, were you at that time already streaming both on Twitch and Facebook gaming, or?
I don't remember the specific dates, but I was a contracted streamer there for the majority of my time with Facebook gaming. And I was never exclusive, so I was always kind of streaming stuff that what I was mainly a battle royale guy. I was Fortnite, Apex, Warzone on Facebook. So anytime I wanted to play something else, it was typically on Twitch.
Okay.
So my last year on Facebook, I spent a lot of time on Twitch trying to essentially had the foresight. Like I knew something was coming. Like I knew it's something, it didn't feel right. Things weren't going well. Nothing was getting fixed. Nothing was getting addressed. There was no transparency. I knew that like if I kept all my eggs in one basket, then my platform was going to just disintegrate overnight. And so I made, for like an entire year, I guess all of 2020, all of 2021, I spent kind of either multi-streaming, or I would stream for a few hours and then move everyone to Twitch. And then when they didn't renew my contract for 2022, I just made the hard swap to Twitch after that.
Yeah. And now, were you partnered with Twitch before you left to go to Facebook gaming, or the partner came after?
I wasn't, but I got partnered like 40 days. Like it was only
wow.
2 or 3 weeks after I switched. I was
No
partnered
way.
on Twitch. It was very quick. Yeah.
Cool. And now, do you remember what was your Twitch partner story? Were how did you get notified, or was it just, did you know it was coming?
I think I just knew it was coming. I've just been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
I think like, and I had the support of so many people when I moved here. I think I just kind of knew that it was coming. I don't necessarily know how their process works when
Yeah.
they pick partners, but I blew all the criterias out of the water, and I knew so many partners already. Like
Yeah.
I was already interacting with so many of the partners. I kind of just figured that it was bound to happen.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And I don't actually remember the Twitch part. I think I was out of town
Yeah.
when they sent me the email, and I just screenshotted it and posted on Twitter or something. It wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It wasn't as exciting to me as like when I first got partnered on Facebook gaming. It wasn't because I felt like I had already done the work. I didn't feel like I was working super hard for anything on Twitch.
Yeah.
Like I had already established my platform.
You're just changing you're changing companies.
I was just changing company. Like basically I was just waiting for them to verify me, I guess essentially.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as exciting. Yeah, it was cool. And like I had always wanted to be a Twitch partner. I was streaming on Twitch when there was no affiliate program, and I was the first wave of affiliates. Like they emailed me like, "Hey, we're rolling out the affiliate program," and I applied, and I got into I was the first wave, so that was cool. So partner was always Twitch partner was always an aspiration. It just was a little bit less special because I had already done so much work for 3 years on Facebook, building the platform that followed me to Twitch and helped me get partners so quickly.
Okay. And now, doing this for so long, what's been some of the hardest things to fight through and just, deal with?
Like I was mentioning earlier, I think the mental struggle that you go through when you do this job is probably the hardest thing that no one really talks about, or it's kind of like maybe swept on the rug. And not necessarily to say that mental health is swept on the rug, because it's not, but it's how the highs and lows of streaming impact your brain can be very detrimental to the wrong person. You go through waves of incredibly good viewership or good revenue months, and then you'll have a few months that are very down, and trying to balance that. And it's very easy to blame yourself. What am I doing wrong? Where are my viewers going? Why aren't they donating? You ask yourself all these questions, and it's very tough on the mind, especially when you feel like you're pigeonholed into one game. I think a lot of people feel that way with Tarkov right now. Like we're kind of all, the highs of Tarkov are very, very high. You can't replicate that. When Tarkov's good, it's good, but when it's bad, it's bad, and that's also mentally draining. And I think that kind of compounds all the other mental stress and gymnastics that you go through. when the game that you're playing 8 hours a day sucks.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, there's the mental gymnastics that you go through interacting with all kinds of different people that have different opinions, and
Yeah.
you kind of always have to mind your tongue and kind of it's
Mm-hmm.
just it's exhausting.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
the internet, as great as it is and as amazing as it's been to me, the internet is becoming exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so much more than just playing video games. People just say, "Oh, they're just playing video games." But like you have like when you go live, you have to be on. Because if you're not on, nobody wants to see somebody who's miserable playing a game.
You have to, yeah. And I'm sure every streamer has experienced this at one point or another when you go to a family gathering and your cousin's like, "I could do that," and I've never seen my wife get more defensive than when somebody says that.
Yeah.
And she goes off. I don't have to defend myself anymore. She does it. She goes off.
Yeah.
On these on my family members are like, "I could do that. I play games. I could do that." And she goes off because
Yeah.
it's not just sitting there playing video games. You have to be on. You have to be entertaining.
Yep.
You have to put on a show for 6 to 8 hours straight, sometimes longer.
Yep.
Because if you don't, you lose people.
Right. Yeah. And then you get other two factors. One, if you're maining a game like Tarkov, like you said, last summer was awful for a lot of people who were maining that game. You just And then the other aspect of it is too, if you don't have a group of friends that you can play with, and you're just soloing a game, your human to human contact is really just reading Twitch. You're not really talking back and forth, and that has has to take a toll.
Takes a toll for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm very lucky that I have the group of friends around me that I have. Like we were talking about earlier, it's very difficult to find truly genuine people in the space.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm very, very lucky to have the friends that I have who truly look out for each other and lift each other up. And yeah, the band, we trash each other sometimes for the banter and for the memes and for fun, to make our communities laugh. And I don't have any problem ever being the butt of the joke. I think sometimes to my detriment, I'm the butt of the joke to the point where like potentially people might not respect me, and that's just something that might come with it.
Yeah.
I don't really care if the people if the people that are watching me and watching our communities are having a good time. As long as you're not being disrespectful to me, I'm cool. You know what I mean? Like like I said, I'm typically the butt of the joke. I would say at least 50% of the time, and I'm cool with it as long as people are enjoying what they're watching and having a good time. As long as we can tickle somebody, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, well, and also your crew got your back. You
Always,
just
literally, they have my back in a bar fight.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, talking about the lows of streaming, now what's been some of your high points? We're like, holy crap, I can't believe that happened, or yeah, holy shit.
The most memorable moment for me, two that are involved around St. Jude. The first one was when it was my first ever charity stream, and we were raising money for St. Jude. I have two daughters, so St. Jude is very near and dear to my heart. And I never expected to raise a couple $100, and we ended up raising $5,000 in like 6 hours.
Wow.
And it was the moment where I was like, it was for me, the moment where I guess realized that I could make an impact beyond just making somebody smile.
Yeah.
I think when you evolve into being able to have an impact like we do every single year through stuff like Build Against Cancer and St. Jude and all of the St. Jude initiatives that we do, and the stuff that I do for the USO.
Yeah.
It goes so much further than gaming, but it just started because I just wanted to make somebody laugh.
Yep.
And show them my above average gameplay. That is where it started, and it compounded into so much more. And that was the moment where I realized that this is so much bigger, and it could be so much bigger than just me sitting playing video games.
Yeah.
So that, I guess that's one. And then the next one would be when I got invited for the first time out to the St. Jude campus, and how I was absolutely brought down to earth and humbled, and it was an incredibly emotional trip, touring the hospital and meeting the kids and seeing end to end what the process looks like and how every single base is covered for these families. So all
Yeah.
they have to do is worry about their sick baby. Is an incredibly emotional, very, 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 tugging at my
Yeah.
heartstrings, as far as that experience went.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
being a father, I've got 3, and it hits you different once you have your children, seeing other
one
kids, and it's
thousand
like
percent.
how fortunate I have been or you've been that God help, you're just, yeah, it's tough.
But it makes me want to drive that much harder
Yeah.
because I know that there are, especially meeting these kids and meeting the parents of these kids,
Yeah.
and the siblings of these kids that have to be so strong, but they're
Mm-hmm.
terrified of losing their.
Yeah.
It makes me want to work that much harder. You know what I mean? Yes, yes, my job is amazingly fun. I have really cool friends, and we go to these events and make a good living doing what I love.
Yeah.
But being able to use my platform for something that is so much bigger than me
Yeah.
is really what makes this worthwhile.
Yeah. And the thing I've been blown away by is the generosity of the communities that are following their content creators, and just the Tarkov community. It just seems like there's so much. I've really only focused on the Tarkov community for a while, but just generosity and how much money and causes people are just step up for. It's amazing.
It's crazy, and I think that's a large testament to the creators that are in the Tarkov space.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of creators across every platform that do a bunch of charity initiatives, and
Yep.
they're incredibly successful and do great. But I think when you think about the groups that like the GCX initiative that gets done every year,
Yeah.
and the lineup of streamers that's there, it's that you're so much more impactful when you have a purpose and you put streamers in specifically those type of streamers in a position
Yeah.
to make an impact, and like the impact that those creators communities have is a testament to those creators, right?
Right.
Like they and it's cool.
It
We
is
know some cool people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, we know some cool people.
Definitely. So now, if somebody's thinking about, I'm going to go live for the first time and not just a hobby, I want to, do good with it. What kind of advice would you say to them?
You got to make a schedule, and you got to be on point with it. You got to be on purpose. I think the biggest thing that people do is they just, I'm just going to go live. No, you have to make a plan. You have to analyze your daily schedule and fit a 4 to 6 hour stream in
Yeah.
a few times a week at minimum, and be on purpose with it, and understand that you have to be methodical. You have to be consistent. If you say I'm going to stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday from this time to this time, you have to stick to it.
Yeah.
And when you're consistent, you'll see growth. But it'll always be slow. I think the only way I think we're kind of shifting into this new meta where you need to devote at least 50% of your time content creating into your short form stuff. Learn how to edit. Learn how to edit short form videos and post those everywhere.
Yeah.
And then spend the rest of your time that you're not editing or posting those videos streaming. And that's the way to do it right now. And stream to every platform. Stream to all 3 platforms at the same time. Especially if you're just getting started.
Yeah.
Stream to. There's no penalty. There's ways that you can do it for free. Just stream to all 3 platforms at the same time and see which one takes off first.
Yep. And now, speaking of platforms, you've been doing YouTube now for a month and a half. How's that been?
Yeah. I never expected anything like what's happened on YouTube to happen. It's been insane.
Yeah.
And obviously a massive shout out to Dr. Lupo and his community for being so welcoming to the platform, but just I initially just wanted to start streaming on YouTube once or twice a week just to get monetized there. They have a 4,000 watch hour requirement for partnership and for monetization. That was my goal, and I figured it would take me a couple weeks, maybe a month.
Yeah.
And then we did it in one day. Like
Holy
it was bonkers. It was
Oh my
bonkers.
God.
The amount of support and the amount of love that I'm receiving on YouTube is insane. I've been saying this analogy. YouTube feels like Facebook gaming. All
Yeah.
the good things about Facebook gaming and all the good things about Twitch, they've like made a baby, and that's
Yeah.
YouTube right now. Now, yes, there are some issues with like navigating the website and some quality of life stuff for both the streamer and the viewer.
Yeah.
That Twitch does really well, but YouTube's working on that. And they've been incredibly like even the YouTube staff has been very, very like welcoming.
Yeah.
They've messaged me on Twitter and they're, hey, if you need anything, let us know. Like if you have, give us feedback, and it's like it's a two-way communication that's great, and having a point of contact for the platform is huge.
Yeah.
So it truly feels like how when I was on Facebook Gaming the first year, where I had direct communication with all the engineers, the partner managers, we were kind of building this product together.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like on YouTube, and that's crazy to think about because it's YouTube.
Yeah.
But the YouTube live streaming and the YouTube gaming is still so new.
Yeah.
So being able to be a part of that process is really exciting for me.
Oh, that's so cool. Excellent.
It's been insane.
It sounds like, dude, if you hit that 4,000 mark in one day, dude,
it was crazy. It was bonkers. Yeah.
Now, going back a second to the mental health aspect of being a content creator, you've been doing this for so long. You've probably figured out a way to build vacations or holidays into your schedules, which a lot of people they either don't even think about that because they don't want to take that step away from streaming.
Yep, it's terrifying. It's because I said it earlier. I said it a few minutes ago. Consistency is key.
Yeah.
Even the week I took off last week for Lootfest, there's a rebuilding period.
Yeah.
Every single time you come back from a long period of absence like that, because people are creatures of habit. They fall into even that quickly. They'll fall into a different rhythm of just pulling up a different stream every day instead of pulling up yours. So it's very scary for sure. But finding balance is the only way that I've been able to stream as long as I've been streaming and be a part of this industry as long as I've been. Making sure that when you feel like I'm a big proponent of like grind as hard as you feel like you need to grind.
Yeah.
Like I think that if you're driven and you want to work 6 or 7 days a week, do it. But when everyone gets to the point where you feel it and okay, I need one day.
Yeah.
Maybe I need 2 days, right? Take it. And don't get on Twitter and apologize for taking a day off. Like just, hey, I'm taking the day, guys.
Yeah.
That's it. Take your day and don't be afraid to go do cool shit with your friends. Like, because you can use that as content as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really bad about it. I wish I was better. When I go on these trips or I go on vacation, about like taking time to film all the stuff that I'm doing, take pictures.
Yeah.
Because your community wants to be, you don't have to share everything, but your community wants to see the food you're eating, the places you're going, the people you're meeting, the stuff you're doing. They want insight on that. They crave that. They want to know that you're just more than just a gamer behind a camera, that you're relatable. And that is another amazing avenue of content that you can create. And you can put that on Instagram, and you can make a new YouTube channel and do lifestyle stuff and do lifestyle shorts and have a whole new avenue of content and monetize it that way, so that when you do take breaks, it's way less stressful.
Right.
Because you're still monetizing that, right?
Yeah. And that's the core of why I started this podcast, is to get, people like you on so they can see you and hear your story, that they may not hear the whole story if they only catch you like
snippets.
Yeah, exactly. So now when you were streaming, did you hit a certain point where you're like, I got this, or was it just gradual increase, like some deals were happening and numbers were just gradually improving?
As far as like monetarily, like revenue wise, or
as you knew you can make this as a career. This is your career now. You don't have to worry about Best Buy now.
So with Facebook gaming, it was a little bit different because the Facebook gaming, for all its faults and all its flaws, Facebook gaming monetizes really well.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a whole lot of viewers on Facebook gaming to make a good living there. So that it was a little bit different for me. I was making pretty decent money right out the gate as soon as they rolled out their monetization. Because when I was there, when I first started, there was no subs, no stars, no anything. But once they rolled all that stuff out, it happened fairly quickly. I started taking content creation very seriously, where I sat down with my wife and I said, this is the plan I have. Give me 1 year, please, to make it work. Because there's no way I would have been able to stream, 20 to 30, sometimes 40 hours a week, also doing my full-time job and all that. Like, I was never home. I was never available. I was never there. Like, I was working, eating, sleeping, streaming
Yeah.
for like 9 months. And so I mean, shout out to Angelica. She's a saint for putting up with that for not. She was basically a single mom for 9 months. But we got to a point where I was like, I'm making very similar money.
Yeah.
Just from the stream. It's close enough.
Yeah.
But even then, I was nervous. So I talked to my my district manager, and I was like, I'm just gonna go part time. I'm just gonna go sell computers at the Best Buy that's close to my house.
Yeah.
Instead of having to drive an hour every day to work.
Yeah.
Or 2 hours. It's a 2-hour commute both ways. Let me just drive to the one 15 minutes away. I'll sell computers. I'll be the best salesman there because that's what I do.
Right.
So I'll sling machines and I'll sling Best Buy credit cards and just let me maintain my part-time position because I was nervous. So I did that in like September. I just stepped down to part-time Best Buy and I ramped up my stream time.
Yeah.
And then of course when that happened, like we did this push for full-time fab.
Yeah.
And the revenues just started rolling in
nice.
from there, right? So I was part-time for 3 months, and then that was that.
Yeah.
Almost exactly 1 full calendar year later, I was full-time after I said, Ange, give me 1 year.
Yeah.
And I did it in 1 year, almost
Awesome.
exactly.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other successful content creators I've had on have a similar support, whether it's their wife, their family, just, they're there, they're their anchors. And they gave you that, sort of, don't worry, you go do this, we got it.
Yep. And listen, everyone's going to call you crazy. Every content creator has been called crazy. I was called crazy. You just got to take the leap, man. You just got to go do it.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, you just got to do it.
Awesome. All right. So now, when it comes to Tarkov, what was your path to that game? How did you end up finding it?
PoolShark.
Yeah.
PoolShark bothered me for years to play Escape from Tarkov. I should have listened to him earlier, and that's like kind of the mantra now with PoolShark. I just need to listen to him more. I'm too stubborn. I'm not going to, but I probably should listen to him a little bit more.
We can edit that out so he doesn't hear that.
Thank you. But yeah, he was badgering me for a couple years to play, and I did dabble in it a little bit.
Yeah.
A few years back with him, and it was really fun. But on Facebook, you're just so like trapped by the algorithm, and the Facebook gaming algorithm hated Tarkov.
Oh shoot.
There was it was PoolShark, Tim, and Stone Mountain. They were the only ones that would do well on Tarkov. No one else would do well. It was so bad. I would have 500 plus viewers playing Warzone, and then I would switch to Tarkov and have like 50 people.
Get out.
The algorithm was so bad.
Yeah.
So that was the main deterrent for me to not want to play that game.
Yeah.
And then once I started doing Twitch and stuff, I was like, okay, we'll give it a go. And I actually, it's been exactly a year now, like a year, a few days ago, that I actually started playing Tarkov seriously and like playing it every day. And that's kind of the rest is history. Met all these cool people. Met Ben. Met Amy, met Jen, and all these amazing people, Bear Key, and so many of them live close by.
Texas
that was crazy as well. Like Lauren and Amy live right down the road, so we hang out with them all the time now. They're good friends with my wife. Like it's kind of the Tarkov has been an incredible blessing for me. It's opened up a lot of doors for me. I met a lot of amazing people. Yeah, Tarkov's been good. So again, to my point, I probably should have listened to him a little earlier, but we'll edit that out. Don't tell him.
We won't tell him no. Okay, I go to 2 paths here. Let's go back to PoolShark. How did you end up meeting Pool?
I met him through Darkness. So we had a buddy of ours. His name was JD. His gamer tag was Dimes, and he would play Fortnite with Tim, PoolShark, and Muggs pretty frequently. but he would play in the morning for a few hours, and then he would come back and play in the evening, and I would always play in the evening. So me and Dimes kind of started playing together, and then every once in a while in the morning, like if Muggs didn't show up or if like Dimes wasn't gonna play, I would slide in and play with Tim and PoolShark and Muggs. So that's kind of how we bridged that gap. This
Yeah.
through Facebook gaming and through Fortnite.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And actually, how for somebody maining, did you main Warzone for the most part when you were on Facebook, or did you switch it up a little bit?
So I spent 3 years on Facebook, and every single year was a new BR. So Fortnite, I started with a little bit of PUBG.
Yeah.
And then Fortnite was Fortnite was the game that would get insane algorithm craze. So I did a lot of Fortnite. And then Apex came out, switched to that, played that for a year.
Yeah.
Warzone came out, switched to that, played that for a year, and then was off the platform shortly after that.
And how was it playing, sort of those BRs with those communities versus the community that, you experienced in Tarkov? Is it different or, very similar?
No, it's a dramatic difference.
Yeah.
I think most of the gamers that are playing, especially Warzone, because it's cross-platform and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Warzone and Fortnite are very similar, but I think the Tarkov community is so hardcore, and it's probably a bunch of people that have been playing PC. Most of the player base has been playing PC games forever.
Yeah.
Probably their whole lives. It's a much more hardcore group, but that makes them way more passionate about it, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone cares about Tarkov, and the people that play it are invested in Tarkov. Yeah. It's not the same with the battle royales. You get on, you play for an hour, and you get off. The player base is way more. Excuse me. The player base is way more casual.
Yeah.
It's the community is just not as impactful, and they're not as tight knit. And now, recently, the Tarkov community has kind of been off their damn rocker, and I've kind of been staying out of all that drama and all that stuff. I'm too old to get involved in any of that crap. But when I first, like last year, it was an incredible breath of fresh air, seeing how cohesive the Tarkov community, and they embraced me wholeheartedly. I was just a Warzone guy, and I showed up in the Tarkov directory, and everyone like I was getting all kinds of streamers coming into my chat, and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And all my like people from my community that played Tarkov and watched Tarkov streamers, they'd be like, "Dude, that's Ash, like, dude, that's Gingy, like," and I'm like, sick, like, the Glorious E raided me one time. He came in, he's like, I'm like, they're like, dude, that's Glorious E. I'm like, I don't know, like, hey, thanks for the raid, bro. Like, I don't know any of you guys, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
But that's like that goes to show that like Evelian, like all these, everyone was very, very welcoming and kind of like just embraced me as part of the Tarkov community. They had, for no reason. They had no like I wasn't that good at the game. It's a testament to the Tarkov community, and most of that Tarkov community, that vibe still exists.
It is. Yes.
I think most of the issues just stem from social media, and people always wanting to be right and have an opinion about something, or having to have an opinion about something. But I think for the most part, I think the Tarkov community is still pretty tight.
I really think it is, and everybody who I've had on who have been in the Tarkov community, everybody play. It doesn't matter how many viewers you have. You got people playing with, who have average, 5,000 people playing with somebody who's average, 30. There's just a friends playing games. That's what it is.
100%. And of course, every community is going to have egos and stuff, and that exists. But I think you're right. I think for the most part, if the vibes are on and the game, everyone's cohesive and it meshes well, it doesn't matter.
Right.
As long as everyone's contributing to everybody's content, that's the key. And I think that's another important piece to think about. Like we were talking about, and I'm just kind of go on a tangent here because going back to what we were talking about with newer creators.
Yeah.
When you're networking with other creators and you're meeting new people, like it doesn't the glove doesn't always have to fit.
Yeah.
Like you can still be friends with somebody and interact with them like as a friend on at events and on Twitter and stuff without playing video games with them every single day, because sometimes the gameplay and the banter just doesn't mesh, right? So like as long as everyone in the group is contributing to everybody's content, that's the main goal. And I think that the group that I play with, everyone kind of understands that. Everyone contributes to everybody's content. So that's a big piece of it.
And you all seem like you're having a blast. It doesn't
I
matter
mean,
what game you're playing.
That's the only way we can. We have
Yeah.
to. That's definitely the only way we can have fun playing Tarkov right now. But
Right, yeah.
yeah, we can be playing golf. We play golf with
Yeah.
friends. That's some of the most fun I've ever had. You know, like just dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's the group of people that you have around you for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So now back to Tarkov for a little bit. What was the hook it had on you once you got into it? Did it have a hook on you like there's nothing else beat, that can
It was
touch
pretty
it?
immediate, yeah, because I'm so heavy into FPSs and wanting to be the best at shooters. And I listen, I'm gonna pat my own back a little bit here. I have some of the best aim in the world, guaranteed. There's no shot anyone has. Like, there's not that many people that have better aim than I do. But when you mesh that FPS style, especially as hardcore as it is with the movement and stuff like that, with an MMO type of game, that's like the perfect medley for me. Having a mix between my favorite genres, basically, was the perfect mix, and it got its claws into me pretty early on.
Yeah.
And I've been pretty happy with it. Now, obviously, it has its issues, but like we said earlier, the highs are high.
Yes.
And when it's good, it's really, really good.
Yeah. Now, do you prefer to play Tarkov solo or with, God help you, a 4 or 5 man?
I prefer to stay away from 4 or 5 mans. I think trios are my favorite squad. My favorite.
Yeah.
Trios and then duos are my favorite. I'm really good at solos because you can kind of just fry whatever.
Yeah.
But it's boring to me. There's no banter.
Right.
It kind of takes some of the excitement out of it. Some of the, like, the potential to team kill your,
Right.
your bud. Like, so solos are cool, but I think trios and duos are where I like to play the most. Now, with this group, we're always in 4 and 5 mans, but you kind of just deal with it.
Right. It's the banter and the friendship. That's what that's for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And now something that's unique with Tarkov and the content creators that play it, you've got to manage the stash. Do you manage the stash, when you sign off, like I gotta get ready for tomorrow, or it's just,
I try and do it as I go for the most part.
Yeah.
Right now, my stash is crazy because I refuse to sell any of the guns that I have, and I have armor all over my. It's organized, but it's very full.
Yeah.
I try and just sell as I go. I haven't had to just sit and organize in a while.
Yeah.
But definitely early wipe. I have to either or before. Typically, it's after I'm done streaming.
Yeah.
I'll organize, off stream. But I've also found that a lot of people like you throw on some music and just organize your stash and talk to chat.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that as well. But I didn't. I got off of Twitch too early to kind of test that out. You can't play music on YouTube, so typically after stream I'll clean stash, but I haven't had to do that in a while.
Yeah. That's something I hope they fix with YouTube, is give you some way to do music, because that's
they're working on it. There's some revenue share stuff that they're doing where you can play people's music and they'll get a portion of your revenue and stuff like that. Essentially, renting rights to the music and stuff. So they're working on it. They're doing some cool stuff. We'll kind of see how that progresses.
Yeah. Yeah, I had Pest on a while back, and he described Tarkov as like the perfect content creation or streamer's game, because you have so many ups and downs where you're getting ready for raid, you can interact with chat, loading in is another point.
They definitely, I think they still need to cut that down a little bit, because it definitely, especially with the new form of like content consumption, it's a bunch of you scroll TikTok and it's very short term. Like, so I think they definitely need to shorten it a little bit, but I agree. Having some downtime is really good for being able to pause, read chat, and you have some downtime to do that instead of being so consumed by the game, for sure.
Yeah, because like with COD or whatnot, it's run die, or there's no let's just catch up on chat and things like that.
Yeah.
So now, charity. So you've been involved with St. Jude. You're an ambassador for St. Jude's. You do an ambassador for the USO. Let's start with the USO. What is that program, and how did you get involved?
I gotta give PoolShark credit again for something. God. PoolShark recommended me for that program. It's just a gamer outreach program where we bring light to what the USO does for active duty and our veterans through gaming.
Yeah.
They have installations all over the world at base, gaming installations at bases all over the world, where soldiers can just sit back, kick their feet up, and kind of get lost for a little bit. through gaming. They host events, tournaments, just kind of as much active duty and veteran outreach as we can, just to kind of help with the the headaches of being in the service and being,
Yeah.
especially when you separate and that transition process. We kind of are try and bridge that gap through
Yeah.
gaming is the point of the ambassador program. Kind of just having other veterans be a part of that program to say, hey, we did it. You know, like we're gamers too.
Yeah.
We you know we've separated as well, and you know we're doing all right. So it's possible, and you know you're not alone.
Yeah. Very cool. And now St. Jude's. How did you get involved with that?
That was just I honestly don't remember. It was just like that was like for me. It's always been a no brainer. Like if I'm gonna do a charity stream, I want to do St. Jude.
Yeah.
I never really had like a motivator for it besides the fact that I have two babies.
Yeah.
It was just kind of we're gonna do a charity stream and it's gonna be St. Jude and that's it. Like
Yeah.
and we'll always do we do two a year and you know that's that. Like so I don't know I can't even pinpoint a time where I was like, yep, doing
Yeah.
St. Jude. It's just always been a thing for me.
Yeah. And then you also got involved with GCX, right? So how did you get hooked into that?
Yeah, that was through Tim, and of course Jason from St. Jude. Always, anytime he needs anything, I'm always willing to help.
Yeah.
You know, I never say no to Jason when he needs something. So, that's unless it's to play Destiny. He's if he watches this, you never play Destiny or any of the games I ask you to play with me. But anytime he asks me to do anything on behalf of St. Jude, like I'm there. I'm ready to rock. So
Nice.
This last year I was kind of like a standby, just filler, just kind of helped with whatever.
Yeah.
This year I'm definitely hoping to be way more a much more integral part of the GCX stuff.
Nice, cool. And then just recently, you were down in Memphis with Lupo?
Yeah, we did
and,
Build Against Cancer.
Yeah, with
in
Nick and
December.
Stacy.
Yeah, it was insane. That was
Yeah.
insane. That was That was definitely one of the craziest experiences of my life for sure. It was wild.
Oh man, yeah. Who's all a part of that crew that you were hanging out with there for the weekend?
Yeah, that was me, Amy, Tim, PoolShark, and Ben, of course.
Yeah.
You know, Mrs. Lupo, Nick, and I think that was it.
Yeah, yeah. Nick was on. I had Nick on the pod there. Maybe a couple of months ago before I found out that he won the friggin' Lego Master Championship.
Oh, yeah.
thing. That's so crazy.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. That was pretty insane.
Yeah, just to think you made $100,000 from being, building Legos.
Lego guy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Awesome. All right. And now, two other things I wanted to talk to you before we let you go. One is Lootfest. Is that something you started and you sort of?
So one of a buddy of mine, he runs the my merch company, Streamer Loot.
Yeah.
Started kind of just doing like a streamer get together basically, and that was I guess 2.5 years ago now, where it was just, hey, we're gonna just do a community meetup, kind of how GCX started in a bar, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially what happened with Lootfest. It was just a bunch of streamers and some of our community hanging out at a bar.
Yeah.
And it's evolved into this amazing community driven gaming event. And this last year was the first year. Now I'm a co-owner now.
Yeah.
So I actually got to get my hands on it, get involved, get all my friends there and make it incredibly special. This year was the first year where it was actually like an actual convention that is substantial, and it went so well. It's and for anyone who doesn't know, it's out of Fort Worth. We've already got it scheduled for next February. Tickets are already on sale. You can get it. You're definitely not going to want to miss out on this. If you think you had FOMO for this last year, you're not going to want to miss this one. It was insane. Next year's going to be even more so. But it's definitely something exciting that I get to focus on.
Yeah.
That's a community driven thing where we just me and all my friends get together with all our communities and check out some cool brands, do meet and greets, hang out.
Yeah.
Hang out at the bars and just have a good time with our communities and our friends. And it's been something that's really fun for me to work on. That's on the side that is not specifically streaming, but still part of the industry that to focus on. And I'm super pumped for next year. It's gonna be cool.
Now, what was a couple of highlights that came out of this year's everyone get together thing?
So the initial the initial keynote speech that I gave, it was a horseshoe of way more people than I thought it was going to be
Yeah.
just there, and of course all of my obnoxious friends were being rowdy because I was giving the speech, and so that was probably the highlight of my
Oh man.
of the event for me. It was really kind of validating, I guess, because I
Yeah.
was very nervous. You know, when you have all your friends out to an event like that, there's a lot on the line. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like kind of my reputation was on the line. I'm bringing all these people out, and I want to make sure that they have a good time. And
Yeah.
I think everybody had an amazing time. But it was kind of validating that all my friends were there, screaming, hooping, and hollering while I'm doing my speech, and it was a really cool feeling.
Oh, that's so cool. Awesome. All right. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is Expanse Talent. What is that?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a new initiative that I wasn't initially going to be part of the ownership team. I was initially brought on board to just be part, like just be I guess the talent,
Yeah.
right, and just kind of help as like an advisor, basically. But it's evolved into so much more than that, and the idea of Expanse is to provide end-to-end operational support for creators
Mm-hmm.
to do all the really, really mundane and boring stuff that we hate doing.
Yeah.
Then that's everything from editing to social media management and posting, talent representation, even planning like to assist with if the creator's planning on attending an event. All they do is say, hey, I want to go to this event, and we book everything. We
Yeah.
reach out to our contacts and we book them for parties. We book them for if they want to make reservations for dinner, we do whatever they need. In addition to providing on-site support for the event, if the creator doesn't feel comfortable traveling alone,
Yeah.
or they want to have some type of support, we provide that.
Awesome.
And then we're rolling out like being essentially creating a growth strategy where you're part of we kind of sit down in meetings and we develop
Yeah.
an entire growth strategy for what you're wanting to do, and we implement that. We put a plan in place,
Yeah.
and we execute it, and kind of help you elevate your brand. Essentially, is the whole goal. But I think end to end, being able to help creators, and the idea is to be able to do it without charging an arm and a leg and breaking a bank. We're not
Yeah.
we're not trying to get rich. Like I know that there's a need in the space for this product,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of really good creators that just need a little bit of help to get to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do.
Oh, that's so cool. That's very neat. Excellent.
Yeah, that's been really cool. That's what I've been the most busy with over
Yeah.
the last few weeks for sure.
That's awesome. All right. So now, over the years, any sponsors or you want to give a shout out to that that have been there for you, that supported you?
I mean, I got a brand new G Fuel sponsorship. Those are the ones I haven't had a major sponsor in a really, really long time.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to be part of the G Fuel team. It's definitely obviously one of the most prestigious brands,
Yeah.
energy brands in all of gaming. We just announced that sponsorship last week, so
Awesome.
I'm very excited to be part of that team. It's been a lot of fun.
Excellent.
And yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it.
Cool. All right. Now,
Check out gfuel.com.
There we go. Anything planned for the next? What's some goals for this year that you want to? Any events you're attending?
Yeah, so I'll be doing GCX for sure. That's in August. Tickets are already on sale for that as well. Huge fans of the Rare Drop team and everything that they do, so we're going to go out there and support them with whatever they need. I'll be in 2 weeks, or I guess a weekend in some change. I'll be at Doc's event in Arlington for the game that's launching, and then we're probably going to be attending PAX West
Yep.
whenever they announce dates for that, because I haven't been up to Seattle yet. I haven't actually ever been up to that part of the country besides for 6 hours while we were fueling the boat one time. So I'm excited to go up there and visit a good friend of mine, Tactical Grandma, and her husband Sean.
Oh, cool.
We're kind of spend some time up there with them, and see some of that area, and just kind of like we talked about earlier, making sure we take those mental breaks. And,
Yes.
you know, whether it's 5 or 6 days, there will always be a ramp up process afterward, and it's scary, but you got to do it.
Absolutely. Very cool. And now, what's Doc's event going on? It's his gaming company dropping their game, or
Yeah, so Midnight Society's doing like a teaser event. It's like they've been doing these pop ups all over the country. So there's gonna be some gameplay. I think I'll be able to play. But Ben got put me on the list, and they reached out to me, and you know I'm pretty excited about it.
That's awesome.
So it's gonna be pretty awesome. I'm pretty fun. There's gonna be some really big creators there that I never thought that I'd get an opportunity to meet. So that'll be cool. I guess probably the person I'm the most excited to meet is my buddy Z-Laner. I actually mine and his first year making content was on Facebook Gaming together.
Yeah.
And we were on the same schedule. So me and him played Fortnite every morning together for like a year.
Oh, wow.
So me and him are really good friends.
Yeah.
But we've never met each other. And obviously over the last couple of years, he's kind of blown up with Doc and Warzone and stuff, and made this huge name for himself. So it'll be pretty cool to kind of hang out with him and finally meet him in person.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very cool. All right. Well, hey, you survived the pod, but before you go, it wasn't that painful, hopefully.
No, easy peasy.
All right. But before you go now, you got to call out somebody, just like, Eric did you. He threw you under the bus, say, yeah, you got to get Fab. So who are you throwing out there?
I feel like everyone has already been on the podcast. Have you done Jen yet?
No, I haven't.
Let's do Genticles. I think
All right,
that would
so
be really fun.
I need you, give her
I
some
will.
encouragement.
I got you. I will. Absolutely.
She's nervous. I've exchanged some DMs with her, and she's like, I said, you know what? We can just record it, and if you don't like it, we can delete it. So give her a nudge.
Okay, I definitely will do that. Yeah, I think she would be really, really good on here. Awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Well, Fab, it was so awesome to meet you, and thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.